This is Gabriel Gonzalez for Cage Side Press, and I am here with UFC flyweight contender Andrea Lee, who takes on Natalia Silva on August 19th at UFC 292 in Boston. Andrea, we're just about a month away from the fight. How are you feeling? How's camp been going and everything else?
Well, I feel great, and camp has been going very smoothly. And honestly, I feel like I've been in camp for I don't know since last year. It's just been like nonstop. So I feel very well prepared for this fight, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a banger.
I mean, stylistically, you guys do make for a very fun fight. Before we get into that, I am curious. Sometimes fighters talk about, like, for example, oh, the holidays. Some people like it, some people don't, because there's all this partying and eating and all that. For you, what's a summertime training camp like? Is this like a good time to have a fight, or does it sometimes it's like, maybe I want my great outdoors, maybe I'd rather fight a little bit later and things work a little differently schedule wise. How do you like fighting around this time in the summer?
August isn't so bad. I do try to avoid fighting in July or June, mainly because like I try to like leave that time for to spend with my daughter during the summer. My daughter goes back in August, so it's not the worst time to fight. And training doesn't really affect my time with Ainsley so much because I train from home and my gym's not too far from here. So Ainsley can go with me, and she has other kids she can play with. So it works out just fine. And yeah, it's not too big of a hindrance.
I mean, to ask you a couple of things, I'd like to work backwards a bit. The fight with Maycee Barber, obviously, is the last time we saw you. A lot of feelings about that fight for a lot of people. I don't have to tell you, a lot of people did score it for you. Judges saw it the other way. Very fun fight all around, competitive fight. Months removed
Mhm.
now, how do you feel about the whole thing?
Well, I'm not mad at Macy, okay? Like, I don't hold any grudge or ill will against her because of the judge's decision. But as far as the judging goes, I just feel like what were they watching? I felt like at the end of that fight, it was definitely mine. Of course, there were some things that I could have done more to be more aggressive in during the rounds, but I felt like I was still aggressive enough, and I displayed my dominance in the fight. I had 5 out of 5 takedowns, and I had almost, I think, around 8 minutes of control time. Um, you know, and just the other day I was watching The Ultimate Fighter, and Chandler told his guys, um, he said to focus on control. He said control over damage. He's like, and that's coming from like Chandler. So it's like at the end of my fight, everybody was like, oh, there was more damage done. Macy did more damage, but really there was like, I had like a little black eye here, maybe. I had like some red marks. She had a busted nose. She had some bruises. It was pretty fairly equal. I just think that I won the fight, and it's disheartening, especially to she gets to go on and get like a main event like spot right after that, and she did great in her next fight, and I'm glad that she actually won that fight. But yeah, I think that I beat Macy, and there's not really much that I can do about it. and
Is
and
the, Go ahead.
huh? I was gonna say, even Joe Rogan reached out to me at the end of that fight, and offered up his you know opinion, and said that he thought that I had won the fight, and was sorry that they screwed me. But it is what it is.
I mean, low key, I would have asked him, it's like, oh, wait, before I let you go, could I get on the podcast next week too? But no, fair enough. You talk about that. I want to touch on it. When you see Macy do what she did in her next fight with Rebus, I mean, to put it bluntly, I know it's apples to oranges, styles make fights, but is it a little, I guess, relieving, because it's like now it's like you pushed her, it was competitive, and it's like the loss ages well. I know that probably sounds maybe a bit of BS, but I feel like it has to be a little bit of an element to it, because it's like, guys, you know, how good is Andrea if she pushed Maycee like this and Maycee's at this level right now? Does that ever help? Or as an athlete, it's like, you know what, I didn't win and that's the end of it.
No, it does, because it's like, you can look at a fight and you can see what a person did to somebody else, and you can also think, well, they didn't do that to me, like I and in my opinion, I did think that. I'm like, she didn't do that to me. She couldn't control me the way that I controlled her. She wasn't able to push me back and bully me in the way that everybody thought that she was going to. She wasn't even able to really hardly get me against the cage, you know. Um, so when I watched her fight with Amanda Ribas, and I felt that Ribas had really great moments in that fight too. But Maycee had the heart in that fight, and she was able to stay strong and everything, and she was able to get in there and get the win. She did the damage, and she got her hand raised, and it was in an impressive way. And so I'm happy to see that, because it definitely makes me feel better about my performance against Maycee. But
And so,
yes, styles make fights, and you just really never know.
to talk about that, I mean, a lot of fans also said this. Obviously, you look fantastic against Shevchenko and everything else, but I would argue that was one of the most just impressive performances of your career. Just how versatile and how smooth your game looked. Obviously, you've always had these facets of your game, but just your transitions, just when she got you to the ground and the work you were doing and getting back up and getting back to the feet. Um, I have to think you felt good about it. Like, okay, what was I able to demonstrate? Because you talked about it, the changes in your camp and the renewed focus on going from the ground up again with wrestling. I mean, how did you feel about what you were able to show, and what changes, if any, have you made to just improve on what you already did from the last camp?
Well, I've continued I kind of picked up where I left off. Actually, I'm still focused on uh bettering, my wrestling and understanding positions, and learning how to be a true wrestler, not just be not just learn something here and there, not just learning how to defend a single leg or a double leg, but I'm actually like learning wrestling, and I think that's helping me out tremendously, because I find myself in some of the most crazy scrambles, and I'm able to like still find my way back up to my feet and even get in on my own shot, so that's like I'm able to shot reshot, and actually transition from one thing to the next. And that's kind of the hardest thing about wrestling, is just being able to continue those transitions. And I feel like I'm getting better at that, and I think that that's something that's going to help me out a lot in my fights to come. And not to mention my striking, I'm working on a lot with Tony, and I really feel like my range is, I feel like I'm learning how to use my range a lot better. I've always had very, long punches, and I always try to keep people at the end of my range, but I always find myself kind of smothering myself too at the same time. So that's something that we've been working on, and also tightening up just some things on the ground as far as jiu-jitsu goes. I've just been focused on what I can do to better myself, and not necessarily focusing on what my opponent's best at, and I think that that's going to help me out in the long run.
To talk about Natalia Silva, you were part of Victoria Leonardo's camp and corner for her fight with Natalia recently, or, relatively speaking. And if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, I think even Natalia might have mentioned you as a potential next opponent. I don't want to say like personal beef, because I know you're not that kind of fighter, but is there any little bit of like, well, you did get my girl. You seem to want a little bit of the competition. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't really like to think like I'm coming in here for revenge or anything like that. Um so no, there is no beef. She went in there and she got the job done. She did what she was supposed to do, and I can't really hold that against her. But I I think that if I know that she's an up and coming prospect, and I don't know what people are really thinking about me, as far as where I stand now. Maybe they think that I'm a gatekeeper or whatever, but I'm just going to prove that I'm not a gatekeeper, that I'm still a contender, and that I'm still going to get my opportunity to fight for the title, and I'm still in the mix. and I'm not on the way out by no means. Actually, I'm just getting better. I've just had some shitty decisions and some shitty things happen to me in fights that have caused them to not go my way. And, you know, had those things had not happened, you know, I know that I would still be in the top 10, and, you know, I would have gotten my chance to fight for the title already. And, you know, we'll just have to prove that to everybody again. I feel like I'm constantly having to prove myself.
Yeah, you know, look, here's the thing though. So many of your fights so entertaining, so much fun. You know, the Maycee fight in particular, obviously the Shevchenko fight, the
Cynthia
Viviani
fight was
fight.
good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like
The
lest we
Viviani
forget,
fight.
that was she had to rally back to get you back, and then if you guys haven't seen it, watch our old interview. You know, we talked a lot about the eye gouge and all this other stuff. That was a
If there's
very
any
good
fight
fight.
that I'm upset about, it's that one.
Really? Well, you know what? No, I mean, I shouldn't sound surprised. Of course it is. You gave me all the details. So it's like, yeah, it was. I mean, your fights are very fun, is what I'm trying to get at. And so I don't know what fans would be looking for. Is it just simply, it's like, watch them all consecutively in context. And it's very different than just looking at topology and seeing what's red and what's green. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you never really know about anybody until you've watched their fights. You can look at a record and all day long, you know, and it doesn't explain anything until you actually see them fight. You know, and not just one fight. You can't just watch one fight. You have to watch multiple fights, because you don't get to display everything that you are good at in every fight, you know, because like you said, styles make fights. And if you're a mixed martial artist, then you're able to mix it up on the fly, you know. If you're really good on your feet and you know that the other person is ground game, let me rephrase that. If you're a mixed martial artist and you're good everywhere, and you fight somebody whose ground game is not good, but their striking is good, well then why not just take them to the ground and just out grapple them? You're not necessarily going to get to see that other fighter's striking as much, but it doesn't mean that they don't have striking. It's just because they chose, you know, an easier, you know, way to finish the fight and get their hand raised. So in a lot of my fights, you know, maybe you'll think that I'm a better wrestler than I am a striker, or maybe you'll think I'm a better striker than I'm a wrestler, or, you know, and that happens.
To ask you one more thing about Natalia, just what do you think of her game? Obviously, like you said, newer to the UFC and just as a professional, and just what are your thoughts on her skill set?
And she's one of those who, you know, I've seen her striking. She has really good striking. And but she's also finished girls from the ground as well. So I know that she has a grappling background, and so her jiu-jitsu is going to be there. And she is in the UFC now for a reason, so she's going to be well-rounded. And you know, I have fought other girls that are like her, so it's not like I haven't seen this before. So I know what she's going to be bringing, and I know how to get my hand raised. You know, I know how to finish this fight. But I think that she's a very talented girl, and I think that she is a well-rounded fighter, and I don't think she's just one-dimensional, you know. So I know what I'm getting into. I know what to look forward to. And I am excited about this fight. I really am. Yeah, I'm upset that I'm not fighting a higher ranking opponent, you know. I don't know where she's ranked now, but she's climbing up the ranks, you know, and I know that I'm in the way of her getting into the top 10. So she's coming to take my head off, but I can't let this happen.
No,
Can't let it happen.
Absolutely, right? As you're supposed to be feeling.
Yeah.
I did have another one. Usually you're going west, fighting Texas, fighting Vegas. First time since I think COVID, maybe you're going more east in Boston. Are you one who's like, hey, couple days, we have some things we got to check out before we leave? Or do you feel like you'll keep it chill, you know, and around Boston when you go?
You know, when I travel for fights, I'm there for the fights. You know, I don't really try to find things to go and do. I don't really go sightseeing. I'm just kind of focused on my fight and cutting the weight. And, you know, at the end of it, I'll probably go back to my Airbnb wherever I'm staying, which is badass, by the way, because it has its own sauna. Because I already got my Airbnb, man. I've already
That's
and
what's
it
up.
has a sauna. So I don't have to travel too far to go cut my weight. But yeah, I'll probably just spend my time at the Airbnb. I don't think I'm really gonna go see anything. I don't want to take the risk of getting caught in something. Trouble somewhere. I don't know the area, and so I think I'll probably just like to the Fighter Hotel, to the venue, to my Airbnb. That's about it.
I know, like you don't want to be caught walking around London and you almost get run over or something, right?
Right. Yeah. Like that did almost happen.
Yeah, if you don't know, check out my Instagram. It's a very fun day. Just about a year ago today, as I looked at my
I
stuff,
can't
by the
believe
way.
that, man. I can't believe it's already been that long.
It's been a minute. But no, yeah, check it out. That was a fun day. Anyway, a couple more as we round home. I always ask you, obviously, about the cowboy hat thing. I have a little bit of a curveball. So obviously, cowgirl, she's got her hat, usually has her boots. Are you a fan, or do you ever participate in anything like line dancing at a country club, anything like that?
I haven't been line dancing in so long. Honestly, I feel like the last time I can't even remember the last time that I tried to line dance in a club. It's been so long. But
When you
no, I
did
don't.
do it, were you okay at it? Or would you say like, I was probably beginner's class, let's be honest.
Honestly, I would say beginners. I really honestly suck at line dancing. I suck at dancing in general.
Me too, it's all good. Hey, I've been told it's like, you know what, don't try to dance, but if you like the music, just try to boogie. Like if it hits,
Just move your body.
below your stomach, you probably need to slow down, but right in the shoulders, everyone looks about the same level. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Finally, to ask you, just look, obviously fans are going to tune in. They know Natalia's coming up. They know you're looking to defend your spot. What should fans know about where Andrea Lee is at going into this fight?
Wait, what do you mean where I'm at? Like where to find me?
Just mentally, just like physically, just
Okay.
like, you know what, this is what I'm bringing. This is where I'm at in my life, my career, and how I'm going to get it done.
Well, I guess you can say I feel like I'm being backed into a corner. So, Andrea backed into a corner is not a good thing. I always rise to the occasion. So it's going to be an exciting fight. And, this time I'm going to bring it. And nothing is going to hold me back. I'm excited to get out there. I'm excited to show everybody what I've been working on. I want to be the most aggressive KGB version that you have seen. Basically I'm bringing back the Invicta days. So, come.
Let's get it. Where can we find you on socials? Any sponsors, any projects you want to plug and shout out?
You can find me on Instagram, Andrea KGB Lee. I have a Facebook page, Andrea KGB Lee.
Are you a big TikTok and Twitterer? I don't think so.
I do have a TikTok now. I just don't use it as frequently, but I do have it. I'm on there occasionally. It's Andrea KGB Lee as well. And what'd you say the other one was? Twitter? Oh yeah, I hate Twitter. I have hated Twitter just because I feel like it's the place where the most shit gets stirred up. It's like you post something and then it goes viral and then you can't block anybody. You can't. I don't like the privacy settings and stuff, so I really just don't even like to use it. And I honestly haven't been using Instagram. I have not been on Instagram in like a couple of weeks. Actually, it froze up on me for some reason, and it was just stuck, and it wouldn't let me log out or anything. So I removed it, and I was going to reinstall it, but I haven't, and it's been nice. It's been nice.
Fair enough.
I still have my account, but it's been nice not to be on social media. I find myself scrolling on Facebook and I'm like, man, I'm doing the same thing that I would on Instagram. I got to stop this.
Andrea, we're always looking forward to a good one. All my support, you always have it. Remember, guys, Andrea Lee, Natalia Silva, August 19th, UFC 292. Yes. In Boston, ESPN Plus, pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, on the app. All you got to know is don't miss it. We'll catch you guys next time.